Can't no nigga hurt me worse than I already been hurt. I lost my mama, my daddy, my brother, my sister, my grandmother, my grandfather, my grandmothers on both sides, my partners. I'm already dead, nigga, inside. So this little funny shit that I chose music, I'm not tripping. I was born in poverty. I was raised by junkies and in boys' home all my life. So I just thought maybe I'm just a chosen one.
By age 14.
Talking about the boys' home, I went straight to the streets. Cause my pa, he got shot up and he went to jail for a murder. So right after that, the streets became my life. I chose that shit.
Birdman slipping right in front of everyone's eyes, literally nodding off mid-performance while the cameras keep rolling. The world's watching, stunned, as the man who once ruled hip-hop like a king seems to fade in real time. This is the same Birdman who built one of rap's biggest empires from the ground up, Cash Money. He turned street hustle into global power, only to see it crumble piece by piece through lawsuits, shady business moves, and painful personal losses. It's not about time passing, it's about a legacy losing its shine right where everyone can see it. By 2025, the streets were buzzing with fresh rumors. People started wondering if Birdman was okay, both physically and mentally. The question was loud. Was the Cash Money boss still that same unstoppable force who once made the industry bow down? The Hot Boys reunion tour was supposed to be legendary. Birdman, Lil Wayne, Juvenile, Turk, and BG all sharing the same stage again for the first time since 2000. History was supposed to be made that night, but instead of everyone cheering, one clip stole the whole spotlight. In the video, Birdman's head suddenly drops while he's standing behind Turk. He stays like that, completely still for way too long, not reacting to anything. BG eventually reaches over and taps him like he's checking if something's wrong. That one moment lit up the internet like wildfire. Comment sections exploded with concern, with fans warning Birdman to step away from anything codeine related. They said they didn't want to see another legend go down that same dark path. Reunion might have been the comeback fans dreamed of. That clip changed the whole conversation. Some folks said, he just tired, man, it happens. While others claimed age was finally catching up to him. It pointed out how other industry OGs like Irv Gotti and Fat Man Scoop had been dealing with their own struggles around that same time. Turk tried to keep things chill. He brushed it off saying, I don't know what be going on, man. I'll be in Turk's world doing what I'm doing. They're gonna always turn something into something that ain't. BG even laughed it off during Drink Champs, saying the crew thought the whole situation was funny. They wanted people to think it was just a harmless moment, nothing serious at all. But the internet wasn't buying that story one bit. Then came another clip, this time from a Harlem event in October 2025. Same look, same nodding off, same confusion.
My brother, Ronald Williams, my everything. My brother dropped out of school in the 7th grade. Super intelligent. Know how to make money, get money, and keep money. Can't no nigga hurt me worse than I already been hurt. I lost my mama, my daddy, my brother, my sister, my grandmother, my grandfather, my grandmothers on both sides, my partners. I'm already dead, nigga, inside. So this little funny shit that I chose music, I'm not 20. Universal gave me $30 million. I thought I was dreaming, brother. Like, I couldn't believe that I had this much money. Made $2.5 billion with Universal, and they made $800 million off of me. Ain't none of these ever saw a B.
You kept the lights on over there pretty much.
Ain't no seen no B in this shit like I had.
Once again, social media exploded with theories. People were convinced something much deeper was going on with Birdman, the same man who once stood untouchable in the rap game. Birdman's camp tried to calm things down, saying it was just exhaustion from long nights, heavy travel, and non-stop shows. They even mentioned Fresh was on the phone that night, backing up the "he's just tired" story. But fans weren't convinced at all. Online talk only got louder, people whispering about lean, possible relapse, seizures, or even deeper health issues. The streets were honestly worried for the big homie. That concern only got worse when chaos from his personal life started bubbling up. Around that same time, the whole Toni Braxton situation hit the internet again. She had quietly married Birdman in August 2024, only to file for divorce just 2 weeks later. Fans couldn't believe it. The drama was piling up fast, and everyone was starting to wonder what was really going on behind the scenes. The divorce filing ended up getting tossed out in January 2025. So technically, Birdman and Tony was still married on paper. The vibes? Completely off. Both wiped each other from social media. Tony stopped rocking a ring. The whole thing looked cold, distant, and messy. Then came October 2025, when Toni Braxton finally broke her silence. She started talking about what she called Cash Money's death rituals. She made it clear it wasn't voodoo or anything supernatural, but instead symbols of a twisted culture that had poisoned the crew from the inside.
If you could take one thing back in your career that you did, you could just take it back, what would it be?
My situation with Wayne. That hurt me more than anything, because I love that. And I meant nothing but right. I thought I did right. I changed his life. I changed his mama's life. I changed everything about him. I said, let's put this shit behind us. How much you want? That nigga said 50, all right? You had that shit in the morning. And we did that, and that was over with. But
That's what's up.
he didn't even ask for 50. I gave him 50. On God, he ain't asked for 50. And fresh. I just wanted to have a clearing relationship with people that I started the business with.
Right.
Everybody that I started with, I'm in good space with them. Fresh know what I did. Now know what I did. Wayne know what I did. If not, you think they'll be fucking with me?
Yeah.
They fucking with me for a reason. I was just talking.
Tony described what she said were loyalty tests that went way past normal business moves. Matching tattoos, men kissing on camera, everybody calling Birdman daddy, and constant flexing of cars and cash for the internet. She claimed none of it was about unity. It was all about control. She said these weren't traditions, they were pressure tactics meant to break artists down bit by bit. According to her, if someone refused to play along, they didn't just get sidelined, they got completely erased from the picture. She compared it to a secret society where you had to surrender your independence to climb higher. Every gift, every diamond chain, every luxury moment. She said none of it came from love, it came from leverage. Tony claimed this toxic lifestyle was destroying Birdman from the inside. She even connected his public slip-ups in 2025 to the same dark forces, lean creeping back into the mix, or the heavy burden of his own empire turning on him. And she revealed that being tied to Cash Money made her own lupus and heart problems even harder to live with. The story shocked everyone. Nobody expected Tony to air out those secrets like that. Tony said staying in that kind of energy felt straight up dangerous, so she walked away to protect her peace. Birdman didn't take that lightly, allegedly firing back hard, calling her a gold digger who was just after half his reported $160 million fortune. He even claimed she pawned a $5 million ring. The internet instantly split down the middle. Some sided with Birdman, saying he'd been played, while others believed Tony was just trying to escape something that was breaking her down from the inside. Then, by December 2025, new rumors started flying. People online were saying Birdman was creeping around with Tony's own sister, Tamar. Both of them shot that talk down fast. Tamar came forward saying she was actually the one who introduced Tony and Birdman in the first place, and that she still saw him as family. That one statement had everyone wondering, was the marriage really over, or was something else going on behind closed doors?
Fresh today, me and Fresh was on the phone, right? And I was telling Fresh, bro, I swear to God, I ain't know nothing about this publishing shit. I didn't know. And Fresh used to be like, cause Fresh was on before me.
Right.
And he was like, Stunner, bro, we got publishing money, bro. We supposed to be getting royalties. I don't get my feelings in it, but I ain't never took from them. I always bless niggas.
But why niggas keep saying that? You know, Stunner don't say why niggas keep saying that shit, bro. Like everybody, producer, all these folks be like, man, nigga don't pay, bro.
Right, bro.
Beyond the lawsuit drama,
I always looked at Wayne as my son, and I always looked at it like, because I was in the streets, and I thought this might be the last time they ever see me.
Damn.
Because I was living like that.
Right.
So I was like, that's what that shit really started from. I'm ready to die about that and kill about it too. I out-accomplished every nigga that ever did the music business.
Yeah.
Between the talk of dark rituals, the health scares, and the emotional chaos with Tony, it all painted the image of a man being swallowed whole by the very empire he built. When you push out a certain energy into the world, it doesn't just disappear, it circles right back without warning. To really understand how Birdman ended up here, you gotta go back, way back to the roots where everything started. Brian Christopher Brooks, known to the world as Birdman, was born on February 15, 1969 in New Orleans. The Magnolia Projects became his whole universe, a world built on struggle, survival, and learning fast. He grew up in a massive family with 10 brothers and 12 sisters. Life in the Magnolia was rough, but it built him tough. And through it all, his mother, Gladys Brooks, stood as the one steady force guiding him through the chaos. Birdman always spoke proudly of his mom, calling her Miss Gladys, saying she gave him the only real grounding he ever had. But even that foundation was shaky from the start.
No out-accomplished me. Not one nigga on planet Earth. I gave my life to the game. And I'm prepared. And I'm still prepared to die about this. But more important, I'm prepared to kill about this. Facts. On my mama, and she dead. I just was like, my daughter was kept like, Daddy, why he keep with you like that? She don't say fuck him, but why he keep? I had no idea because I don't listen to the radio. I don't listen to the radio, period.
You think they were just doing their job or just with you?
Nah, I think he went a little too far with me.
He's always been brutally honest about how rough his childhood really was, no sugarcoating it. By the time he was 14, he wasn't just hanging out on the block, he was already moving money in ways no kid should have had to. He once claimed he saw his first million before he even hit 15, not from music, but from the grind that came with the streets. At just 16, he and his stepbrother caught a heroin possession and distribution charge that landed him 18 months behind bars. The streets demanded a price, and Birdman paid early. Lesson learned the hard way. Then came 1991, the real turning point. At 22, Birdman and his brother Ronald Slim Williams decided to build something out of nothing. Cash Money Records. No big label backing them, no industry cosigns, just pure hustle, raw vision, and that signature New Orleans bounce sound pulsing through their veins. Slim had dropped out of school in the 7th grade, but Birdman always said his brother had the kind of mind that could see money before it even showed up. Together, they changed the sound of the entire South. They created the Hot Boys, Juvenile, BG, Turk, and a young Lil Wayne, who Birdman brought into the fold when Wayne was just 9. He saw the spark early, raw talent that couldn't be ignored in a city full of rappers, all fighting to get noticed. By 1998, their movement wasn't just local anymore, it was national. Cash Money was on the rise, and Birdman was steering it straight into rap history.
I just went there with one intention, just to say, brother, stop playing with me. You don't know me. And now watch how you do with other niggas. Give me the same respect. I think NBA Youngboy might be the biggest rapper. I say it that. 5 years ago.
What you mean big when you say big?
Ain't no gonna be bigger than NBA Youngboy. Numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
He the biggest YouTube artist right now in the world. And he behind the wall. Birdman Youngboy, bro, that shit ain't normal. Nah, he not normal. He's special. Big money right there, bro. I think he's $1 billion nigga. I tell him that. I talk to him every day. He call me every day. Bro, he's $1 billion in flesh.
All that early hustle finally paid off. Cash Money locked in a $30 million deal with Universal Records, flipping the entire rap world upside down. Albums like Guerrilla Warfare and anthems like Bling Bling had the streets, the clubs, and the charts in a total chokehold. Money was flowing heavy, the label was rising fast, and Birdman was stepping into his role as one of hip-hop's biggest power players. But success doesn't erase pain. In 1996, Birdman's father, Johnny Williams, died in a tragic car accident, another brutal loss in a life already marked by heartbreak. Over the years, Birdman's opened up about how that grief shaped him, made him colder, more guarded, and determined to control every inch of his world by any means necessary. By his early 20s, he'd gone from the Magnolia Projects to pulling in $30 million from a major label deal. The rise was lightning fast, but the pressure that came with it hit even harder.
Cash Money kept climbing through the 2000s, dominating everything in his path. Lil Wayne was unstoppable. The Carter series was running the game. And when Drake and Nicki Minaj signed on, the label turned into an empire nobody could touch. Cash Money wasn't just a name anymore. It was a global machine, stacking cash like it was endless. Birdman's net worth shot up to around $160 million. He even claimed he helped Universal pull in nearly $2.5 billion over his career. Reaching those heights always comes with a cost. Birdman later admitted that in those early years, he didn't really understand the business side like he should have. Deals were flying, money was moving, but not everything was adding up the way it seemed. That lack of business knowledge ended up haunting Birdman later. It turned into some of the biggest headaches of his entire career. What started as small mistakes slowly snowballed into public beefs, messy lawsuits, and non-stop controversy. The rise of Cash Money was legendary, but the fall, it was already creeping up from the shadows.
But Birdman has also been hinting at stepping back.
I ain't doing none of that. I'm done with it. I still get more money than rappers. No disrespect. You know, I make rappers.
Yeah.
We get money together.
Birdman.
Make 20, 30, 40 million dollars a year just off of my old music without putting out no music.
Off of your masters.
Yes.
Bird.
You think because you're a sophomore?
I'm a gangster.
Or a street nigga.
You say
I'm a
what?
gangster and I'm a soft.
He's
ain't about to stop. All right, y'all capping, y'all playing, y'all don't get it, y'all won't play. You can't. I don't think none of these can out hustle me. Not a on planet Earth in music.
That's how you supposed to feel.
And I said this. I'm not just feeling like that. This fact.
Cash Money Records became known not just for its hits, but for what people started calling the fine print. The label gained a rep for allegedly squeezing artists out of money, delaying projects, and keeping tight control over anyone signed under them. The story always sounded the same. An artist would blow up, then later come forward saying Birdman and Slim weren't cutting the checks right. The biggest shock came from none other than Lil Wayne, the same artist Birdman raised from a kid, one he always called his son. In 2015, Wayne hit Birdman with a $51 million lawsuit, claiming he hadn't been paid what he was owed in advances and royalties. He also accused Birdman of keeping over half of a $100 million Universal deal that should have been split. When that news dropped, the whole industry froze. Their bond was supposed to be family, deeper than contracts of business. Now, everyone could see the cracks in that once untouchable empire. The case dragged out for years, with Wayne insisting Birdman and Universal had teamed up to cut him out of profits he earned.
Ain't no hurt me worse than I already been hurt. I lost my mama, my daddy, my brother, my sister, my grandmother, my grandfather, my grandmothers on both sides, my partners. I'm already dead inside. So this little funny shit that I chose music, I'm not tripping. Don't nobody want to see nobody die anyway. So I ain't tripping, brother. But besides that, I ain't trying to do that shit, brother. I'm not trying to do it. I'm already damaged. I was born damaged.
Tension got so bad, it nearly tore the Cash Money legacy apart. But in 2018, the two finally reached a settlement. Later on, Birdman called that entire feud his biggest regret, admitting he went straight to Wayne's house to make things right, giving him even more money than he originally asked for. He said he did it to repair not just the business, but the bond they once had as family. But Wayne wasn't the only one calling Birdman out. Juvenile, BG, Manny Fresh, and a whole list of Cash Money artists started speaking up too. They claimed they'd all been played, talking about unfair contracts, 80-20 splits, shady recoupment games, and royalty checks that never seemed to show up. Artists said if you pushed back or stepped out of line, your album could disappear overnight, or industry doors would quietly slam shut in your face. Birdman eventually admitted he made mistakes early in the game. He said he didn't really understand the business side back then, and that he spent years trying to make things right.
Manny Fresh, the producer who built the classic Cash Money sound, eventually walked away too, fed up over publishing and unpaid royalties. Birdman even confessed that back in those early days, he didn't fully know what publishing actually meant. Still, the accusations kept stacking up. Online, Birdman's name started getting mentioned right next to industry heavyweights like Diddy and Suge Knight.
People saying he had the same patterns of control, using artists to build his empire and then tossing them aside once they weren't useful anymore. The internet was ruthless. Some even labeled him one of the most cutthroat figures in hip-hop. Every time the public came for him, Birdman fired back with confidence. He said people were twisting his legacy and exaggerating the truth. He claimed he'd always taken care of his people and that the stories floating around were missing key facts. But even while he defended himself, another wave of controversy was already building in the background, something deeper, darker, and harder for him to explain. The internet never let go of that early 2000s photo of Birdman kissing Lil Wayne on the lips. Birdman stood firm, saying it was nothing weird, just a family-style gesture, a show of father and son love and loyalty. But no matter how he explained it, that moment kept popping back up online, reshaping how the public saw their bond. Things got even heavier when old stories from Wayne's younger years started resurfacing. Critics began saying that some of the choices made around him back then showed terrible judgment from the adults in charge. Once those claims hit the public, they completely changed how people looked at Birdman's role in Wayne's come-up, adding a layer of tension to an already fragile relationship filled with lawsuits, money drama, and trust issues. And the questionable moves didn't stop there. In 2010, Birdman and Slim announced they were stepping into the oil game, launching a company called Brownald Oil and Gas LLC. They hyped it up big, saying they were bringing street hustle into the energy business, but nobody could find real proof the company even operated. Birdman even went as far as getting a pump jack tattoo to sell the image. To many, it looked less like business and more like a publicity stunt. Still, Birdman brushed off the doubts, saying his wins spoke louder than any rumor. He reminded everyone that he'd helped more artists rise to fame than most record labels ever could. In his eyes, he was the blueprint for turning raw street talent into global stars. But while the money stories grabbed headlines, they weren't the only shadow on his name. Allegations tied to betrayal and violence within his own circle began surfacing, painting a much darker picture of the empire he built. To the outside world, Birdman was still a mogul, but behind the scenes, energy around him was starting to shift in a way nobody could ignore. When you move like a boss, the streets don't just disappear. They follow you all the way into the boardroom. Back in the late 90s, when cash money was just beginning to explode, tragedy kept circling close. In 1997, label member Yellow Boy was tragically slain after a dispute, and just a year later, Kilo G lost his life too. People around New Orleans couldn't stop whispering that these losses might have been connected to old street retaliation tied to Birdman's world. No official charges ever touched him, but the streets had their own story, the kind that never makes it into a courtroom. And then came the wildest rumor of them all, one that shook the whole hip-hop scene. In April 2015, Lil Wayne's tour bus was sprayed with bullets in Atlanta right after a show. Thankfully, nobody was hit, but the situation was serious. When the investigation unfolded, Cobb County officials charged James Pee Wee Roscoe, an associate of Young Thug, with multiple felonies, including aggravated assault. Things took a crazy turn when court documents later revealed phone records connecting Roscoe to both Young Thug and Birdman during the same time as the shooting. Once that detail hit the public, internet went wild. Fans and bloggers started connecting dots, talking about betrayal, loyalty, and how deep the beef might have really gone. The timing couldn't have been more explosive either. This all happened right in the middle of Wayne's massive $51 million lawsuit against Birdman and Cash Money. Prosecutors tried to argue that the attack was tied to that same legal war, suggesting there might have been talk between Birdman and Young Thug behind the scenes. Court filings hinted at possible plotting, but even with Birdman's name popping up in the paperwork, no charges ever landed on him. Birdman denied everything from start to finish, calling the whole thing exaggerated and blown out of proportion. Still, the story stuck to his name like glue, another shadow on a career already weighed down with fame, power, and controversy. The shooter, Jimmy Winfrey, ended up getting a 10-year sentence, but the drama didn't stop there. Birdman bringing Young Thug into the rich gang circle supposedly sparked tension with rich homie Quan, setting off a wave of Atlanta beefs that had the whole city buzzing. That period was wild, full of rumors about shootings, retaliation, and chaos spilling through the streets. Things got even darker when rival label head Big Nut was tragically slain, a situation some reports claim triggered 50 violent incidents between 2014 and 2016. Atlanta was boiling, and somehow Cash Money's name kept getting dragged into the mix, whether they were actually involved or not. Then in 2017, tragedy struck again. Birdman's own artist, BTY Young N, lost his life under suspicious circumstances. Right after posting a tribute, Birdman suddenly wiped his Instagram clean, deleting every photo except the memorial post. Fans immediately started talking, wondering why he'd erase everything so soon after losing someone from his camp. Internet lit up with speculation, questioning what he was trying to distance himself from, or if there was more behind the story.
But one of the most complicated betrayals tied to Birdman didn't come from the streets or from business. It came from family. Not from Slim, but from their other brother, Terrence Gangsta Williams. Terrence had been connected to serious street activity back in his early years, reportedly involved in some extremely dangerous moves during New Orleans' most chaotic times. His name carried weight in the streets, but what happened next would test family loyalty in a way Birdman never saw coming. The world was about to find out that the real cracks in Birdman's empire didn't just come from lawsuits or artists, they came from the bloodline itself. Those street choices caught up to Terrence Gangsta Williams fast. His name ended up tied to more than 20 violent cases, eventually landing him a life sentence. But in 2024, everything changed when Terrence walked free after cooperating with federal agents. The moment that hit the news, Birdman cut all ties instantly, saying cooperation went against the street code he'd lived by his whole life. Critics saw it differently, though. They pointed out that Terrence had spent over 2 decades locked up for situations that came out of the same world he and Birdman once shared. And now that he was trying to rebuild his life, he'd been completely abandoned. The internet couldn't stop debating it. Some said Birdman was standing on principle. Others felt he turned his back on family. Either way, the divide between the brothers never healed in public. Birdman has always been crystal clear when it comes to loyalty, protecting what he built, no matter what. He said over and over that his code is unshakable and that he'd stand on it even if the world turned against him. That same energy went viral back in 2016 when he stormed into the Breakfast Club and pressed Charlamagne the God for talking slick about his name. The phrase he dropped that morning, "Put some respect on my name," instantly became legendary across hip-hop. That moment told everyone exactly who Birdman was, a man who demanded respect, no matter where he was or who was in front of him. Looking back, that fiery interview only added to the larger image people already had of Birdman. It reminded the world that he wasn't just a businessman. He was a survivor who built his empire using methods that went far beyond boardroom strategy. Every move, every reaction, every word carried the weight of someone who fought too hard to ever back down. The streets been whispering about Birdman for decades, and the rumors never really died down. No matter how much time passed, his name always stayed floating through hip-hop conversations, sometimes with respect, sometimes with controversy. But through all the lawsuits, trails, and non-stop headlines, Birdman never folded. He just kept moving forward, mentoring new artists, stacking paper, and living off one of the most powerful music catalogs in rap history. Even when people tried to drag his name, the numbers spoke louder. His catalog alone still earns him more than most active rappers make at their peak, without him dropping a single verse. Lately, Birdman's locked in heavy with Young and B.I., guiding him on tour and trying to keep him focused so he can secure his future. Birdman's even said he believes Youngboy is on track to land a $300 million deal, calling him the next unstoppable force in the game. He's compared Youngboy's energy to what he once saw in Lil Wayne and later in Young Thug, that raw, one-of-a-kind spark that can flip the whole culture. In Birdman's eyes, Youngboy represents the new generation version of what Cash Money used to stand for: raw hustle, bold attitude, and music that speaks straight from the streets. Birdman's also been talking about slowing things down after finishing his final joint projects with Lil Wayne, including the long-awaited Like Father, Like Son 2 album. He's not trying to rap anymore, but he still reminds everyone that he eats better than most artists in the game, quietly, consistently, and powerfully. But behind all that confidence, Birdman has opened up about a few regrets.
He admitted that skipping out on education while being deep in the streets set him back in ways he didn't understand until later in life. He also confessed that the long public feud with Wayne drained him emotionally. It cost him real chances to grow, not just as a businessman, but as a man. For Birdman, success came with scars, and now he's finally starting to reflect on what all those years really took out of him. Birdman's financial situation is still one of the internet's favorite debates. Some reports claim his current net worth sits between $100 and $200 million, a drop from the massive numbers people once threw around when he was rumored to be worth even more. Lawsuits, foreclosures, and risky investments all played a part in that dip. Back in 2017, he even lost his Miami Beach mansion after a $12 million foreclosure case, and people were quick to say the mogul was finally slipping. But then came 2025. Birdman flipped the whole story again. Reports surfaced showing he just bought a $42 million Miami mega mansion sitting on its own private peninsula. That move shut down all that he fell off talk real quick. On top of that, his music catalog still brings in between $20 to $40 million a year in passive income, proving that Birdman was far from finished. Through every loss and every rumor, Birdman's kept that same fearless stance he's always had. He said plenty of times he feels the industry never truly gave him his flowers, never gave him full credit for what he built. In his mind, that's because of where he came from and how he climbed his way to the top, straight from the streets. No cosigns, no safety net, just grind and vision. Decades of pressure sit heavy on his shoulders now. The lawsuits, the accusations, the street whispers, the family fallouts, the health scares, and those viral moments that made him the talk of the internet. All of it layered together into the complex image the world sees today. Because no matter what anyone says, Birdman helped build one of the strongest empires hip-hop has ever seen. He's the man who put on legends like Lil Wayne, Drake, Nicki Minaj, and Young Thug, artists who changed the sound of an entire generation. Nobody can erase that. But the way that empire was built, the behind-the-scenes deals, the broken relationships, and the scars left along the way, paint a legacy that's powerful, messy, and unforgettable. For every court battle, contract dispute, or controversy that surrounded him, Birdman still stood tall, proof that in his world, respect doesn't come easy, but once you earn it, it's forever. Birdman really came from the mud, no silver spoon, no shortcuts. He fought his way from the Magnolia Projects all the way to billionaire territory through his massive Universal partnership. But now, in this later chapter of his life, he's surrounded by controversy instead of celebration. His body looks worn down when he's on stage. His marriage collapsed almost as soon as it started, and his brother still won't speak to him. Former artists continue to say he played him, that the money never added up. But even with all of that noise, Birdman refuses to stop. Every single day, he wakes up with money on his mind, and the next big move already in motion. He's still mentoring the new generation, and swears that nobody in the industry has helped launch more careers than he has. Now, Birdman sits in a strange position, a man who has everything on paper, millions in revenue, a legendary catalog, and respect from the few he considers real. Yet, when he opens up, he talks about feeling empty inside, like he was born with a hole that no amount of success could ever fill. That's the side people never really see. The tragic part of Birdman's story isn't about losing fame or money. It's about living long enough to watch the empire you built surround you with the wreckage of how it was built. The lawsuits, the betrayals, the broken bonds, all of it still follows him. That's the real weight he carries. And maybe the price of power was heavier than anyone imagined. Now it's your turn. Drop your thoughts down below. Do you think Birdman's story is one of success or self-destruction? Let's talk about it in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you love deep dives into hip-hop's most dramatic stories. Turn on your notifications so you don't miss what's next, and we'll see you in the next video.